They didn't know his name. Not the young officers. Not the new flight crew. Not the clipboard men with too much rank and not enough salt in their boots. He wasn't listed on any manifest, didn't wear stripes, didn't speak into radios, just showed up each morning, always early, before the light broke over the horizon, and walked. The deck of the carrier was steel and order, grid lines and launch rails, controlled chaos built for speed. But he moved slow, one step after another down the flight line like he was tracing something only he could see. Boots worn, jacket faded, hands behind his back. He walked from the stern to the bow, eyes scanning the markings, then stopped near the catapult rail. Rested one hand on the safety rail, not for balance, for memory. Some said he was just a retired deckhand who never left. Others thought he was an old safety inspector given access out of tradition. But no one asked? Not until Ensign Tyler Hale rotated in. Hale was sharp, fast, graduated early, trusted the checklist more than he trusted the weather. He knew the angles of launch, the weight of jet fuel, the lag time between radar loss and pilot signal recovery. He also knew how systems failed, because humans stopped paying attention. So on the third morning of flight rotation, he saw the man on the deck and didn't look away. No badge. No harness. No headset. Just standing near the launch ramp, watching the dark like it might speak back. That night in briefing, Hale brought it up. There's a civilian walking the deck before rotation. No clearance, no record. The XO barely glanced up. He's fine. Hale frowned. You've checked his ID? He's not in the way. That's not an answer. The XO gave a flat look. You'll learn. The next morning, Hale didn't wait. He intercepted the man near the cable anchor points. Sir, Hale said clearly, you're not cleared for deck access during ops prep. I'll need to see identification. The man stopped. Didn't react. Didn't resist. Just watched him. Calm eyes, dark with age, not anger. I'm not part of your rotation, the man said. Hale stepped forward. Then why are you on the deck? The man looked toward the water. You're watching the checklist, he said. I'm watching the ship. Hale stood there, uncertain. The man walked on. No protest. No rush. Like he'd already said what needed saying. And in the quiet, steel-humming pause that followed, Hale felt it. Something was off. Not wrong. Just deeper than protocol could reach. The next morning, Hale showed up early. Earlier than protocol required. The deck was empty except for the sea mist curling around the tie-downs, and the man, already there, standing at the far end of the bow. Same stance. Back to the rising light. Boots inches from the catapult rail. This time, Hale didn't stop him. He waited. Watched the man rest his hand gently on the edge of the deck, then lift it like he was testing for something. Temperature, maybe. Wind. Vibration. Or something else entirely. Hale stepped closer. You still don't carry ID, he said quietly. The man didn't turn around. Don't need one. Hale crossed his arms. Regulations say you do. The man looked out at the sea. Eyes narrow. Regulations didn't build her. Hands did. A silence passed. Hale spoke again, more measured this time. You were Navy? The man gave the slightest nod. Was. Still am, in a way. You retired? Something like that. Hale paused. The tone wasn't evasive. It was finished, like the man had already told this story once, and that was enough. You walk the same line every day, Hale said. She shifts every day, the man replied. You don't listen, she stops talking. That made Hale frown. You think the ship talks? The man turned slightly. Enough for Hale to see the lines on his face now, weathered like steel under salt. Quiet, but not soft. I think she remembers, he said. Another pause. Then the man turned fully toward him. You're in comms? Hale nodded. Bridge ops rotation. Then listen, the man said. Not just a signal. To her. He tapped his boot lightly against the deck. She'll tell you when something's coming. Before the instruments catch it. Then he walked off. No explanation. No argument. Just the same slow steps back into the below-deck corridor. Hale stood there, watching the empty space the man had left behind. He didn't know what he was more unsettled by, the strange certainty in the man's voice, or the fact that some part of him wanted to believe it, that the ship could talk, and someone had already been listening longer than anyone realized. 2 days later, during midday rotation, Hale brought it up again. He hadn't planned to. But the words came out anyway, halfway through systems check. There's still no log entry for that civilian on deck. Lieutenant Commander Brax looked up from his mug. The rail walker? Hale nodded. Yes, sir. Brax chuckled. You're still chasing ghosts? Hale didn't smile. He's not a ghost. He's here every morning. He touches launch rails. He crosses safety lines. No gear. No headset. Brax leaned back in his chair, slow and casual. I saw him 10 years ago, he said. Back when I was enlisted. Different ship. Same boots. Same stare. You talked to him? Nope. Didn't need to. He doesn't ask for attention. So why is he here? Brax shrugged. Some people don't need clearance. They've already got the ship's trust. That got a quiet laugh from another officer across the table. What's next? They said. Ship whispers to him in Morse code? Maybe it hums, Brax replied. More chuckles. Hale didn't laugh. Instead, he tapped the console in front of him. This isn't a joke. If he's on the deck, and something goes wrong, then he'll probably fix it before you notice, Brax said. Relax and sign. Let the man walk. That night, Hale skipped mess. Walked the flight deck alone. He paused where the man always did, just before the forward rail. No one else around. He looked down. Steel underfoot. Solid. Flat. Cold. But it wasn't silent. The ship made small sounds, low groans, wind skipping across cables, subtle creaks that you didn't register until you listened with intention. And then he realized, it did hum. A slow, steady resonance beneath his boots. Like breath, like rhythm. He didn't fully understand it. Not yet. But maybe the man wasn't listening to the ship talk. Maybe he was listening to it breathe. Hale stayed late that night. The hum of the ship was still in his ears. A low vibration he couldn't explain, couldn't shake. He returned to the system's archive alone. Closed the door. Pulled up the master personnel logs. Nothing official had ever placed the man on the roster. So Hale dug deeper. Legacy access. Archived manifests. Obsolete formats. Files no one touched unless the system broke and someone had to dig into the bones. He filtered by carrier class, narrowed to Gulf rotations, then searched for observation-only access. One name popped up. Alden R. No rank. No billet. Just a short entry. Granted informal deck access during non-operational hours. No recorded violations. No incident reports. Hale clicked further. One file attached. Scanned. Yellowed from age. CVN 68. Systems Failure Report. 2013. Flight Systems Disabled Mid-Rotation. Radar comms, GPS lost during live training op. Helm recovered using analog bearing adjustments and manual override. Ship held heading within 0.3 degrees for 3 hours. Recovery credited to former Chief Navigator R. Alden, retired, present as civilian observer. Declined commendation. Requested no formal reinstatement. Hale sat back in his chair. Former Chief Navigator. He hadn't just served. He'd saved a carrier during full system blackout. By memory. No data. No screen. Just feel. He printed the file. Folded it into his notebook. The next morning, he showed up early again. The man was already walking. Same steps. Same stillness. Hale didn't stop him this time. He walked behind, silently. Shadowing the same path, down the same line, past the same launch points. When the man stopped at the bow rail, Hale spoke. I found your name. The man didn't turn. Then you've read enough, he said. I don't understand how you did it. You don't have to, the man replied. You just have to know what the steel feels like when it forgets where it's going. Hale didn't reply. Because somehow, he did know. Not in words. Not in protocol. But in the way the deck hummed beneath his feet. The blackout came without warning. No storm. No trigger. No drills. Just sudden stillness. First, the deck lights died. Every fixture, every glow strip. Then came the silence on the comms. Then the screens froze. Radar swept once, then flatlined. No power. No NAV. No heading. Bridge went red under emergency glow. Crew voices clipped and urgent. Failsafe's dead. Backup batteries aren't kicking in. No internal comms. Bridge is cut off. Captain stood centered at the helm. Calm but narrowing his eyes. Looking beyond the screens, like he could will the systems back to life. Hale was there, headset half connected, watching the screen give him nothing. Then someone said quietly, He's here. Every head turned. Standing near the rear bulkhead, silent, unnoticed until now, was Alden. Same boots. Same jacket. Same pace. He stepped forward through the hush. Didn't speak until he reached the console. Drifts pulling east, he said. You've got about 6 degrees of correction to make, or she'll list out of range. The captain stared at him. You're not on my log. I was, Alden said. Long enough. Silence. Then the captain stepped aside. Take it. Alden didn't sit. He placed one hand on the helm wheel, then the other gently on the trim lever. Closed his eyes. No instruments. Just steel. He adjusted, barely. A nudge. A breath. Something small enough no screen would catch. Then he pulled a folded cloth square from his jacket and laid it on the helm beside the diagnostics screen. Hale saw it. A worn NAV card. Handwritten notes around the edge. Don't steer by signal. Steer by rhythm. That was it. No rank. No code. Just memory. 10 minutes passed. Then one by one, lights clicked on. Systems returned. Radar resumed. The ship was still on course. Not just close, exact. Hale looked back toward Alden. But the man had already stepped away. Back to the edge of the room. Back into the quiet. Later, Hale returned alone to the bridge. The NAV card was still there. Left on purpose. He picked it up with care. Edges soft. Corners creased. He didn't pocket it. He didn't turn it in. He placed it inside the helm console. Under the panel. Just behind the manual bearing wheel. Where it belonged. Not as a record. As a reminder. By sunrise, the ship was whole again. Systems online. Comms green. Radar clean. Heading true. No damage. No incident on record. The blackout was logged as a temporary systems loss, source under review. But nobody asked questions, because everybody knew. The man who wasn't supposed to be there had corrected $1 billion ship using nothing but his hands. And now, he was gone. No departure logged. No deck camera trace. No signature in the visitor register. Just absence. As if he'd walked back into the sea. Hale searched. Checked lower levels, engineer access, even the observation decks. Nothing. He wasn't angry. He wasn't worried. Just unsettled. He returned to the bridge later that night. Sat near the helm. Watched the glow of instruments washing over the empty chair. The NAV card was still there. But the handwriting looked older now. He opened the folded edge again. Saw something faint near the bottom he hadn't noticed before. A second line, nearly erased by time. You'll feel it first in your feet. He hadn't known what that meant. Until now. When the ship leaned just slightly under a soft swell, and he adjusted by instinct, half a second before the gyros registered it. He was already moving before the screen confirmed it. That's what Alden meant. The steel talked before the systems did. If you listened. If you cared enough to hear. The next morning, the XO passed Hale on the bridge. Old guy ever show up again? No, sir. Shame, he said. Some men carry maps in their heads. He was one of them. The XO walked on. Didn't wait for agreement. Didn't need it. And that was it. No ceremony. No send-off. Just a quiet shift in how the ship moved, like something deep below deck remembered how it was saved. It started quietly. No announcement. No new role. No change in orders. But people noticed. Ensign Hale began walking the deck alone. Early. Before systems check. Before the crews stirred and the turbines roared. Just him. Boots on steel. Hands behind his back. Eyes tracing the yellow lines the way Alden once had. From stern to bow. Stopping where Alden used to stand. Just before the catapult rail. And pausing. Listening. He didn't carry a tablet. Didn't check diagnostics. Didn't say a word. Some thought he was running through launch sequences in his head. But those who watched closer knew better. One morning, a junior tech saw Hale near the forward cable winches and called out, "Sir, are you checking pre-flight tolerances?" Hale turned slightly, shook his head. "No. I'm checking weight. But we've got full ballast readings, not that kind of weight," Hale said. The tech hesitated, then nodded, slowly. Didn't press. Later that week, someone placed a fresh strip of laminated tape beneath the helm dial, printed in neat black lettering. If the system fails, steer by feel. No one signed it. But no one removed it either. The NAV card stayed where Alden left it, just beneath the glass panel. Now laminated, framed in quiet respect. Some joked it was superstition. Others called it legacy. But those who had felt the deck shift during the blackout didn't question it. They just glanced at the card when the air turned heavy, and felt steadier for it. At night, Hale sometimes stood outside, on the forward deck alone. The same wind, The same cold hum of steel beneath his boots. But something was different now. He didn't feel uncertain anymore. Not because he knew everything. Because he finally knew when to listen, when to trust what the ship told him, and when not to ask for permission. The sea was calm. That rare kind of flat where the ship didn't ride the waves. It simply moved through them. At dawn, Hale stood on the bow, hands behind his back, boots lined exactly where Alden's used to stop. No checklist. No screen. No need. He just listened. The steel beneath him didn't creak this morning. It breathed, the long hum of a ship that remembered. He didn't speak. There was no one to speak to. And that was all right. Later that day, a junior officer approached him on the bridge. "You ever figure out what happened that night? The blackout?" Hale didn't turn. "No. But you knew what to do." "I didn't," Hale said. "He did." The officer glanced down at the NAV card under the helm glass. "You ever think he planned that?" Hale exhaled softly. "I think he prepared for it." That night, Hale returned to the console alone. Lights dim. Systems quiet. Just the ship. He opened the maintenance panel beneath the helm and slid something inside. A small steel tag. No name. No rank. Just a date etched into it. The day of the blackout. He sealed the panel without a word. Not a tribute. A weight. A reminder. Something that would stay there long after his own boots stopped walking the deck. No one ever saw Alden again. But no one forgot him. Because silence, when it carries meaning, doesn't fade. It lingers. In hands that steer before the system says to. In boots that listen before the screen blinks red. In the steady breath of a ship that doesn't panic, because someone already walked the path before, and left it clear. Hale stood on the bow. Didn't speak. Didn't move. Just felt the heading beneath his feet. The hum. The weight. The quiet. Still holding course.